an emergency response, a burger on a plane, and a bizarre route to Orlando. If that sounds good, stay tuned. We're here at Terminal C in LaGuardia in New York. Hopefully I'm saying LaGuardia right, by the way. And we're flying today in one of these, an Airbus A321, from here down to Orlando with Delta. I managed to get a really good deal flying first class today instead of flying economy, and that meant we got access to Sky Priority services. So in theory, that means a very quick, speedy route through the airport. This doesn't look very speedy, does it? Now, unfortunately, we took an age to get our bags loaded onto the aeroplane, but the staff were really friendly, although there was only about 3 people serving lots of customers. Now, first class in the USA doesn't appear to give you automatic lounge access, although this is the queue to get into the Delta Sky Club, so maybe not such a bad thing. Now, it's a bit odd that with a first class ticket, as they call it, you don't get access to the lounge. Anyways, here is our jet for today, the 7-year-old Airbus A321. And because we didn't have lounge access, we got to look around what was clearly a Delta stronghold here at Terminal C. It was a really lovely airport. I also, luckily, thanks to the brilliant views, managed to catch our jet on its final approach. Now, I'm flying first class with no lounge, so what else is there to do but plain spot? Really lovely retro JetBlue livery there. The views here are superb, but also this has clearly been recently refurbished, as the airport itself is very, very, very nice indeed. This is some of the central areas that we spent some time in before our flight. There's a lovely big Starbucks, and there's also a big market and other assorted retailers too. Here's our jet making ready for its journey to Orlando. All's on time so far.
A few moments later.
Yes, that's right, and then this happened. So our aircraft was surrounded by emergency vehicles. Not sure what happened, Delta never told us, but it would obviously mean we'd have a slight delay. The screens in the terminal, though, still showed that our flight was on time, so we headed with a due sense of cynicism to the gate, where ultimately we were delayed. That gave us a bit more time then to wander around the airport, and again, here is a lovely shot of the market area at LaGuardia. It really is a lovely airport. Eventually, we headed back down to the gate. Now, there'd actually already been a bit of a hokey-cokey in terms of a pre-boarding that had happened, but they had to take those passengers back off the plane as there was another problem that had developed. But eventually, we did all start to board once again, and as a first-class passenger, we were able to be amongst the first to board. I was seated in seat 1A today, and here's the Aerolopper seat map for your information. Thanks again to Aerolopper for letting us use their stuff. Following a short wait on the jet bridge, presumably due to cabin congestion as people put away their bits and pieces, we got on board the jet and were offered a very nice warm welcome by the flight attendant who would be serving us through the rest of the flight.
Hello.
Now, apologies, this is possibly the worst video I've ever taken of me getting into my seat. But anyway, you can see I hadn't shaved. But once I was positioned in place, there was a screen, plenty of legroom, and oddly, all of the window shades were down. Not sure if that was more about the heat or something else, but actually when I asked, I was allowed to raise them. There's also individual air controls and a nice little space in the middle between me and my seat partner. There was also some water waiting for us at the seat too, which I liked. Now here's a shot from a Boeing 757 that we flew on a bit later on in the same trip, just to give you a better view of those seats.
A water evacuation is also unlikely.
Soon it was time to push back, and actually the boarding process had gone really quickly, which was superb. We headed out to runway 31 here at LaGuardia, and because of the location of runway 31, it was actually a pretty short taxi, which is good as that seemed to help make up some of the delay. I apologise too, because if you're watching this on a big screen, it looks awful. The window was absolutely filthy, and my GoPro seemed to pick up every speck of dust instead of actually capturing the takeoff in the way that I'd wish. I apologise for that. If you're on a smaller screen, you may not notice quite so much, so do forgive me. A nice quick takeoff into fairly moody looking skies, although actually we had a pretty smooth flight as it turned out. In no time at all, service had already began in the first class cabin and I opted for a beer. This one was actually really nice and I'd recommend it. Soon we were in the cruise. What a lovely view. And talking of views, thanks so much to those who follow my adventures in aviation. If you're new here and you're interested, please do like, comment, share and subscribe for more. Thanks again. Being sat so close to the galley, I could sense it was soon going to be meal service time. So here we go with a one-handed tray deployment. It was actually fairly substantial and nice too that there was an area for your bottle to sit. There was a tablecloth laid out and we also got given some headphones too, which was good. And here is the big tamale. That's right, we got a cheeseburger on a plane. My son and I pre-ordered this to make sure we got it. It was really good. It came with chips, or crisps as we call them here in the UK, a brownie and a salad, and they were all good too. The IFE selection was really good with lots of films. I'll let you try and guess what we were watching. Also, fair play to Delta for this very cute Biscoff biscuit. Overall, I thought service was excellent, attentive, I had a few drinks refills, and overall, just really pleasant member of the team that was looking after us in the first cabin. But as we headed down to Florida, it was obvious we were not going to arrive on time. Just look at the route we took. We held over Georgia for about 30 minutes, I'd say, before eventually heading south over the coast into Orlando. Here's the flight radar view of our flight. Thank goodness then, we had plenty of legroom here at the front. Orlando had been experiencing some severe thunderstorms and that was ultimately the reason for the delay. We'd been asked to hold north of Orlando so that they could get all of the other jets into the airport. It's a fairly common occurrence here at Orlando during the summer, I'm told. A beautiful smooth touchdown concluded our flight, which took a little over 3 hours. It should have taken about 2 hours and 25 minutes, I believe. So let's review. Would I fly Delta first class again? Yeah, actually I would. It was pretty good. The seating on board was excellent and not the kind of economy plus middle seat free thing that we get over here in Europe. The food and the staff on board were great. I will say the ground experience I was a little bit disappointed with. No lounge access really does feel weird when you're paying for a first class seat or realistically a business class seat. But overall, I thought that this was a really good end-to-end flight and actually cost-wise, not too bad. Here we are in Orlando then, and it's one of the few places you get to see a Boeing 757 on a regular basis. So that's not a bad thing either. One last plea, if you've liked what you've seen, please do like, subscribe and share my content. Here we are arriving at the gate, which brings the video to a close. Thanks again for watching and see you next time.